What's up everyone? Welcome to another video in the series, and today we'll be solving the next problem, which is compare the triplets. So let's check it out. Alice and Bob each created one problem for HackerRank. A reviewer rates the two challenges, awarding points on a scale from 1 to 100 for three categories: problem clarity, originality, and difficulty. Okay, so we have two people who would be making one problem each, and a reviewer would be rating their problems, and there would be three scales: clarity, originality, and difficulty. So, and he would be giving them scores from 1 to 100. Okay, we define the rating for Alice's challenge to be the triplet A is equal to A0, A1, A2, and the rating for Bob's challenge to be okay. Your task is to find their comparison by points. Okay. Got it. So if AI is more than BI, then Alice is awarded 1 point. If AI less than BI, then Bob is awarded 1 point. And if they're equal, then nobody gets a point. Okay. Then comparison points is the total points a person earned. Given A and B, determine their respective comparison points. For example, A is equal to 1 to 3 and B is equal to 3 to 1. For elements 0, he means the first element from both the lists. Bob is awarded a point because in Bob's list the first element is 3, which is more than 1, so he would be given 1 point. For the second element, you can see that they're equal, 2 and 2, so nobody would be given a point. And for the third element, Alice has gotten more points than Bob, so she would be given 1 point. So they would both get 2 points each. So no, actually, they both would be getting 1 point, right? So Bob would be getting 1 point for first one for clarity, and Alice would be getting 1 point for difficulty, and nobody would be getting a point for originality. Okay. Function description: complete the function compare triplets. We won't be doing that. Input format: the first line contains three space separated integers, A0, A1, A2. So these would be, in the first line we would be storing Alice's points, and in the second line we would be storing Bob's points, right? Okay, and these are the constraints. So the value would be between 1 and 100, right? And then output: for the output you would have to return an array of two integers denoting the respective comparison points earned by Alice and Bob. Okay, perfect. So let's start coding. I'm going to go ahead and delete all of this. I already coded this before, so that must have been my previous code. I didn't want to see it though, because that would be cheating. So let's check it out. The input format: the first line contains three space separated integers. Okay, so let's, in the first line we would be taking input for Alice, so let's call it Alice scores, maybe. Yeah, and then it would be three elements, right? 5, 6, and 7. Okay, so this way, three elements, and these would be Alice scores. So we would have to take it. Okay, we would have to create a list. We would have to map int input split, and this is kind of a habit. You can always, whenever you have to store a list like this, then this is the syntax of how you do it. Then we have to do Bob scores in the next line, which would be the same thing. So we will just go ahead and copy this. Okay, so now we have their scores, and these both of these lists are of length 3. So we can iterate through the elements, both of their elements, and we can see which one is greater, and then we can store the result in a score. So we can say, let's say Alice, let's do it A score, A final score, let's call it, which would be Alice's final score, and B final score, and we are initializing them with 0 because initially nobody has any point, right? So we would have to make a loop for I in a range. Let's go from 0, 1, and 2, because there would be three elements. So we would go from 0 to 3 exclusive. Then we would check if Alice score I. So the first element, initially the value of I would be 0, so we would be checking Alice score 0, meaning that the first element of Alice score, and then we would be comparing it with Bob's score. So Bob scores 0, and if Alice's score is more, then we would have to increase Alice's final score by 1 point, right? And If that's not the case, then it would be the opposite of this. We can simply go ahead and copy. Here we would say less than, and here we would say b final score. And we can also write an else here, but that does not really make any sense, because in the first condition we have Alice score more than Bob. The second condition is Alice score is less than Bob, and in the third condition they would be equal. But we don't have to perform any operation if they're equal, because nobody is getting a point. So there wouldn't be any change in A's final score or B's final score. So simply in the end we would print those two results. So we can say uh, here like that, and we would say format, and here you would say a final score, because first we have to print Alice's score and then we have to print Bob's final score, right? So let's go ahead and run this code to see if it works. I hope it does. Let's see, sample, it's failing. Why is it failing? Your output 30, 5, 6, 7, and 3, 6, 10. Let's see, you must have done something wrong. List map int input.split. These are the lists. In range, Alice scores I greater than, Alice final score more than 1. If it's less than, okay, instead of I wrote 0. Okay, now let me run that again. Okay, it's working. Let's submit. Okay, we got it. So that's how you could solve this problem. There is actually another way to solve this problem. I mean, there must be so many ways to solve this problem, but I'm going to discuss one more with you guys. So I'm going to comment this out, and I'm going to use the zip functionality here. So I would do for a score comma b score in, and then since we have two elements, we would need to write something here which is an iterable, but every in every iteration it has an iterable within, so it has two elements, because we are extracting two elements per iteration of the loop. So here we would have to zip Alice scores and Bob scores together, so we would say Alice scores, and then Bob scores, and then we would be doing simply if A score is greater than B score, then A final score plus is equal to 1, and if that's not the case, then I'm just going to go ahead and copy again. So I would say if it's less than, and here I would do B, and then simply I would print that. So if I run that code and see if it works, it's running again, it's submitted in C, and it's working. Congrats. Okay, perfect. So this is the solution of this one. If you have any doubts, leave them down in the comments below, and I'll